Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Bullish's Top Stocks to Watch for the Week and Why. This is episode 45. Wow, 45 and the last one of the year. Before we get into it, as always, hey, these are only my opinions. Do your own due diligence. This is equal parts entertainment and education. Helps me start my week, plan my week for the next few weeks sometimes. So hopefully this is helpful to other people. Also, real underscore bullish, anywhere you get your social media poison, Instagram, Twitter, stock twits, right? So usually I'm pretty active there. But also give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. Help me feel good about myself. Also, realbullish.com. You can go there to get some merch. Bam, bullish shirt right there. Shameless plug. I don't care. But anyways, yeah, go realbullish.com. Give us a sub for our newsletter. And I give out I think it's like I think it was like every 50, but I didn't get 50. So every like 20 subs I was giving out, just like a random shirt to one of the 20 that previously subscribed to our newsletter. But yeah, go give some love there. Anyways, jumping into it. End of the year, right? We have a few things going on. We have a Santa Claus rally, possibly, right? It started maybe 2 days before Christmas, two trading days before Christmas. We saw that, the indices, I think you say, kind of rise. We were seeing if we're going to get that Santa Claus rally. Hopefully it's here. And usually that kind of is the end of December to the first couple weeks of January. But also, people are closing their losses for tax purposes. So, if I have a big loss or people that have big losses, usually closing those to try to get those tax benefits. So that could hurt a lot of growth stocks that are already kind of in the decline, for the last part of this year. Also, yeah, the VIX actually, I was watching the VIX to kind of look at, and the VIX is a way to kind of look at volatility as the market sees it over the next 30 days. The VIX is actually down 20% over the last 5 days. So I think it's kind of looking like it's not as risky environment right now. Still, I am cautious because we don't know what's actually going to go on with the new variants. We have definitely like I said, selling pressure for people closing for tax reasons. This actual week coming up is usually the slowest of the year. In terms of trading purposes, but also people said that the day after Thanksgiving was going to be slow, and it was pretty volatile to the downside. But anyways, I'm going to start with what I'm watching for this week. I have XLV on the screen right now. It's a healthcare. It's a spider, I think, healthcare select sector, right? So it's an ETF. I called this originally episode 44, so the previous episode, go watch that for my original bull thesis. But basically, what I was looking at it was to kind of hold this 137 area, which it looks like it wanted to, and I'll go into that right now. But anyways, I called out like healthcare and other industries as well that usually benefit from not benefit but do well in inflation environments, right? So those are I was looking at. One thing that I really liked, or a few things that I liked about XLV. Specifically, was they pay a really good dividend. Their top five holdings that comprise 33% of their ETF positions are United Health, Johnson and Johnson, Pfizer, Life Science, and Abbott. Those have an average PE. If you look at all those top five holdings across, they had an average PE of 22.5. That's actually not too bad. The S&P is at a 21 right now. Usually, I try to stay under a 30 price to earnings, right, or PE, right. But I did like that all of those five had double digit revenue growth year over year. So I think XLV is going to be an interesting one coming into the new year as health and care. More people are putting more emphasis on health and care, especially with kind of COVID and kind of staying healthy. But also, there's a lot of these companies making a digital effort. A lot of these physical companies like CVS and things that are making a digital effort to push into health and care for that new experience. And I think that XLV is interestingly positioned for that. For the chart, one thing that I was watching, so you know how I like to look at things month, week, day. What I was looking at with XLV, and it looks like it's breaking over this 130. I think it was like a 137 area I called out before. I wanted to see if it was going to hold that breakout area. And at the month level, it's looking really good. You're not too far extended off this 10 EMA. You have RSI kind of still picking up to be, like 70 and 30 are two possible areas of correction right now. I think it's at 7. It's around the dot for 70 at the month level, but MACD isn't showing any indicator of kind of cooling off. This moving average convergent divergence, this blue line is still kind of far away from that yellow line, which is what you want to see. It doesn't look like it's going to pinch yet. At the week level, I really like this at the week level, especially because you do see, we haven't been bullish. We haven't had bullish MACD since 913. So that was like 3 months ago. This hasn't really been in a bullish position, but we do see the first kind of green candle popping off here. The green MACD divergence line popping off here. If you look really closely, you can see this blue line going over this yellow, which is exactly what you want to see. RSI is kind of going up as well. We don't have over the last week any volume over average, but also we were only having 4 trading days last week, and Christmas Eve, you can't really count that, I don't think. as we were going into like a shorter trading week where people are really kind of taking, just kind of being with their families and shit. So, I'm not worried about that. The volume isn't there. RSI is going up, MACD is going up, and we did have a test of this area, of this 137 area, and it looks like it wants to hold. And that's exactly what I want to see. I want to break over this area of resistance. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, so a month, where it was really respecting this 137 line. Finally, we got some volume, or sorry, not volume yet, but we got some action to break over that, right? And if you look at the day level, still kind of more of the same here. And I think it's setting up for a nice 2022, honestly. You have MACD, RSI kind of still going up to that 70 area. This thing can run hot, though. This thing's a hot runner. So, it has ran, 79 before, like 80 almost without blinking an eye. It's still, and this is exactly what I wanted to see last week. I called it out last week, like I said. I wanted to see what I was going to do at this 137 area. It tested and rolled off. That's exactly what I wanted to see. You do see, like I said, no volume over average coming in yet, but I would expect kind of in the new year, that's where you're going to start seeing these positions, these volumes kind of come in for one way or the other. But people are kind of playing it for the holidays, right? Jameson is always a good thing. Anyways, MACD still kind of looking bullish. RSI is going on. So I really like XLV. They pay a good dividend. There's a lot of strong healthcare stocks across different industry, different healthcare sectors in there. So I'm really enjoying that one. The other one I want to go into is going to be Coin. I'm trying to do this a little bit quicker than usual, just because it's the holidays. Honestly, I'm like watching, maybe not necessarily playing. I'm trying to position myself into the new year. But anyways, Coin was another one I want to look into. So there was I posted it on Twitter and stock to it. So hey, go, like I said, real_bullish. Go follow and just kind of I just post things here and now. But Coin was one I really looked into over the last week. There was an Oppenheimer and bearish article on 12/22. So basically, that was last Wednesday. An article came out from them, and basically the analyst at Oppenheimer. And usually, I give credence to like those big analysts, right? I don't give a shit about the like small mom and pop ones, but when it's like the Oppenheimers and like the Credit Suisse and all those kind of like bigger players that look at stocks, I kind of take those with less of a grain of salt and take a little bit more, I guess, emphasis on those. So the analyst at Oppenheimer had rated that Coinbase as basically an outperform with a 444 price target. It's sitting at 268 right now, and that's after a good week. So there's a lot of meat on the bones there. This is a quote directly from them. For institutional investors who are interested in getting exposure to digital assets, we believe Coin is well positioned to benefit from it, the analyst said. More importantly, we are still in the early innings of this development, and we believe many investors are still on the sidelines. And I kind of see that as true. I'm really into NFTs and I'm really into crypto. And it's really hard picking a specific NFT or picking a specific crypto. But I think Coinbase is an interesting way to play that because you're still kind of tangentially playing those fields, even though you're playing kind of Coinbase in general, right? So no matter what coin actually goes up or down, the volume in there is all going back to Coinbase, which I really love. And I think it's going to position itself. I think I was reading an article and it was saying that Coin is actually positioning himself for NFT buys and sells as well. So I really like that kind of exposure. And interesting, when I read the article for the Barron's mention of Oppenheimer, I was like, man, there's no way Coinbase must be like something crazy value, right? It's trading at price of sales, not price of earning. But when I looked into Coinbase, actually they have a PE, a price of earning of 19. The S&P's average right now is 21. So this is trading under actual, the S&P price of earnings. So it's not crazy value. There's a lot of value there. It's actually the lowest. If you look at the same industry group, it has the lowest price to earning ratio of 19 in the industry group, the peer group, but has the highest year-over-year revenue growth at 626% revenue growth, looking at the same quarter year after year. Same year after year. That's crazy. It has the lowest price to earnings, but the highest revenue year over year. I think that's awesome right there. That's exactly the value I want to find. And I do get like, hey, after their last earnings, there was I told one of my boys about it. They were like, hey, yeah, look at their last earnings. They got kind of a knock after that. And I get it. And I think one thing that people were really like looking at was the MTUs, the monthly transactional units, I think. And if you look at this quarter over quarter, so, one quarter versus the next, you saw the MTU go down. But if you look at the same quarter year over year, so looking at that same quarter, but last year, the MTU is actually up 252%. I think that seasonality matters. That's kind of like that's my hypothesis. I'm in marketing. I understand, hey, seasonality matters. People buy, just looking at advertising in general, and this is different from Coinbase, but people buy things or spend money, seasonally, right? And you definitely see that where marketing spend goes up during the holidays because that's when people are kind of out spending money. But anyways, those are all reasons why I really like Coinbase. Look at the month level. So this only started trading in April, right? It's relatively new. It's trading right now probably under what it came came out as in terms of their IPO. But basically, you have an interesting range here from 319 to 235 at the month level, right? There's it's really hard to get for these new companies. There's not even a quant rating for this one because it's so new, and it takes a while for it to build up those MACDs, those RSIs, those volume over averages, right? So it's a little bit early. It's very speculative for me, but I'm really interested in this one because I'm kind of bullish on the overall trend of the market. And Coinbase is just one of the big players. I love Coinbase. I haven't spoken to anyone that doesn't like Coinbase. That's the qualitative, but also the quantitative factors like the price to earnings and the revenue are really good to me. Anyways, so over the last week, this is when I was looking at it, and this is exactly what I did. I bought it at the bottom, basically, 238. I was looking for a bounce off of this level, and that's exactly what it did. What I love is it was now starting to build up those weekly at the week level and day level, those kind of RSIs and MACD. What you do see for RSI, RSI's boop, come up picking up here. You see, it wasn't a big downtrend over the last, I want to say, 2.5 months, right? It was basically at the top of this channel here. It had to correct from that, right? And you do see that RSI is picking up. MACD is still kind of pinching to be bearish, but it's not like super diverged. It's kind of more flattening, meandering. So that's it's interesting there. But I love the strong green candle coming in. Now we have to see if what it's going to do at this 281 area. That's the next area to look at for me. What does it do at this 281? What does it do at this where all of these moving averages are like really tight together? What does it do? Does it slice through them? Does it find a lot of resistance? We'll see. But I think it's an interesting play into the new year. What I do love about this, like I said, hey, if you connect the higher highs, it's in an upward channel, kind of, but it did find support here at this 235 level. Like I said, I wanted to see what it was going to do. It slammed into it and it started rising, which I'm a fan of, and that's where I got in on it on the slam. But also at the day level, and I'm trying to look less into the day level, more into the week level. But like I said, the week level is not looking too bad in terms of what it's going to do. It's a little bit mixed. RSI is going up. MACD hasn't followed suit, but it takes a little bit longer for MACD to catch up with RSI, right? But it's not working against it yet, which is good, right? So a little bit early on this one, but I still think it's interesting. Like I said, this 237 area was an interesting area where it found support there in the past, and I wanted to see if it was going to find support there recently, and it did. Basically on 12/20, what was that? Monday? Monday it kind of slammed into that. It had some interesting news come out, some good news like from Oppenheimers and Barron's, and they gave you a day to catch up, and now it's kind of taking off. RSI, like I said, it's kind of it was basically at that area of 30. Like I said, 30 and 72 areas of possible correction. It slammed into the 30 and then corrected to the upside. And then this is the first day actually. So the last trading day was the first day that it had bullish daily MACD since basically 11/9. So a month, let's say a month and a half ago, right? It's been bearish since then, and you see that, right? It hit the top of this channel and it had to cool off. Now it's slamming into the bottom. So there's an interesting area for there. It's positioning into the new year. So I really like Coinbase. Actually, I really like the charts for Coinbase. I like the charts. I like the financials. I like the catalyst upcoming. I like the story for it. I think Coinbase has everything you want to see into one going into the future, right? The other one I wanted to go into is Meta. I'm also looking at like Meta plays, and that's why I also like Coinbase, because Coinbase can actually be seen as a tangential Meta play. Because how are you going to pay for stuff in the Metaverse? You're going to pay with it with crypto. Where do you get your crypto from? To your wallets, Coinbase, right? I mean, that's one of them, but that's one of the biggest ones, right? So I think that Meta, Coinbase could actually be a Metaverse play. But anyways, looking at Meta specifically, the reason I'm watching this, I've been looking for ways to play the Metaverse, and this is kind of a good start for me. Baidu is hosting a China's first ever Metaverse conference, basically Monday, I want to say on 12/27, I believe, is basically Baidu's and China's first ever Metaverse conference. So I think that can be an interesting catalyst event. But also what I do like when I looked into Meta, so I basically look at news over the next 2 weeks. When I saw Meta, I thought that was interesting because I was like, okay, I've been wanting to get into Meta specifically. Meta is an ETF that plays in the Metaverse sphere, so it invests in companies, or they have it comprises companies that play in Metaverse, right? I was like, oh, interesting. And honestly, when I looked into it, I like the chart, and that's why I was like, okay, let me look at this one for a play for this upcoming week and maybe into the future as well. What I did like at the month level, again, this has only been trading for a few months, basically since June of 2021, right? And it's been in an upward channel, right? It's not too far extended yet. We do see over the last month, a lot of downward pressure here, but I want to say it's going to find some footing here, and this is why I think so, because at the day level, at the week level, you do see this channel a little bit better. Basically, you have an upward channel, and it found support here over the last 2 weeks at the lower end of this channel at the 14.5 level, 14 and a half level. You do see kind of like a double bottom here at the lower channel where it started respecting it, and now a play for the upside. You see, like I said, RSI, you kind of see it kind of going back up. MACD isn't too far. It's in a, you see it red right here, so it's in a bearish pattern for the MACD, but that's not the worst thing because it's not like a super steep decline. It's more of a gradual just starting, right? But I think you have like, a few interesting factors here at the day level as well. I really like this, and it looks a little bit clearer because you haven't been bullish basically for the past month, and this one basically hit the top, similar to how we looked at coin, right? It's, things don't rise forever. It's wave pattern. It hit the top of the channel. Now it kind of went down, same as coin, hit the lower part of the channel as well, and now we see it rising to the upside. RSI is kind of going up as well. You have RSI at 48, so there's still a lot of meat on the bones until you get into the correction area of 76, 77. A lot of meat on the bones there. MACD is looking like it wants to cross over to be bullish as well from bearish over the past, like I said, month or so. And also the candles looking really good. You do have an indecision doji here, but what I would want to see is basically it broke over this area and held this area of 1534. I want to see it come down again and test kind of this lower area, and I want to get it into the lower 15 area to really feel like I got some value there. But you do see a lot of support basically from 1511 to, let's say, 1455, basically, like 70 cents there, where, under that, where I'm going to be scooping it up if it falls under that for the play to the upside, right? But I really like it here as well. If it can hold this 1511 area, I'm a really fun buyer of that one. MTH is the other one I want to get to. Like I said, I'm just going to go into these pretty quickly. I've talked about MTH before. One thing I did like about MTH specifically, it's actually the number one home building. So, I mean, again, like I called this out, I think episode 43, so 2 episodes ago, I called out why I was watching the home builder industry specifically. There's a lot of interesting catalysts that are coming out and a lot of interesting articles, specifically one from Barron's. I was looking at the housing industry. Go to episode 43 to see my original bull thesis on that one. But basically, I was watching MTH because when I looked at home builders, right? And I said, okay, basically, what are the top 5 home builders basically by quant rating for Seeking Alpha? I saw MTH specifically, and this was earlier in the month. So I want to say, yeah, this was probably, maybe 3 weeks ago, right? I was looking at it. MTH was actually, so I think it's Meritage Homes was number 2 over the past week and a half. It actually flipped to be number 1. So it was number 2. Now it's number 1 quant rating and Seeking Alpha. Like go to Seeking Alpha, put MTH and look at their quant rating. It went from number 2 to number 1 basically because there's a lot of meat on the bones there. It's a really interesting company. Has a low price to earning ratio. I think it's like 9 or some shit like that. But anyways, go to episode 43 to see my original bull thesis. But what I was watching for this one specifically, I actually started watching it, maybe around here when it was making that rise. What I wanted to see at the decline, if it was going to hold this 116, 117 area, that's what it looks like it wants to do. It's going to test it again, I want to say. So I could see this basically opening on Monday for this next week, testing this area. If it does hold this, I'm going to get in for a longer ride. But basically, I like MTH because it's the number 1 home builder by quant rating. It has a really interesting chart. If you look at it at the week level, it's just starting to get started, baby. Like I said last week, you don't see any volume over average. It was a shorter week. That's kind of be expected. You lose a whole trading day in there. RSI is kind of going up. MACD is still bullish right there. And also you have a strong green candle at the bottom of this pattern and at the support level. You had 2 things. You had bottom of channel support and you had horizontal support right here at the, let's say, 110 level. It busted down to this. It held it. Now it's going to play for the upside. You do have to worry about the top of the channel here. We'll see what it wants to do at that 125 area. I would love to see it cool off a little bit. Like I said, if you look at the day level, you do see that it wants to kind of cool off a little bit. That's fine for me. I want to see what it's going to do, if it's going to hold this 116, 117 area. But I think that MTH can be a really interesting one, specifically because over the next 10 years, home builders, the home building industry is going to be red hot. It's red hot now, and there's such a deficit of houses, specifically new houses for those millennials that are working from home, that are being those first time home buyers like me, that are doing that thing for them, that carry the industry over into the next 10 years, which is really cool. Like I said, episode 43, go check that one out. The last one I want to call out was SPY. And basically, if you've been following me or looking at me, I've been kind of watching SPY over the last, I want to say 2 months, month and a half, because of this, right? All of this interesting area here. I've been loving this right here. I called out, like last episode, the 453 area again, as saying, hey, if it holds this, great. If it doesn't, we're going to be in some trouble. But basically, every time it busts down, bust it, I've been buying this motherfucker. Now I'm watching the 470 area. Right now, we're close to really all-time highs. This has been an interesting area because basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. we've had maybe 14 days where it's been playing with this area, right? I want to see if it's going to hold it. If it does, that's going to be look really good at 2022. If it can hold this area and bust to the upside, right now you do have it did break over it for the last week. The week previously. So I like that. RSI is going up. MACD is actually going up. Like I said, hey, it's been choppy. It's been really choppy for SPY, but it looks like it's getting some pudding. You see a strong green candle here. We see if it holds it. Like I said, RSI is going up. MACD is kind of just going straight. Volume over average wasn't there over last week, like I said, because it was a shorter trading week. But I want to, and this makes me excited. If we can hold this area, we might see a really, really interesting late Santa Claus rally, right? But anyways, I'm bullish on the SPY long term because even barring, like a fucking .com bust correction. Even with that, the SPY took that and it was down for a couple years and then came back up. You just have to have those diamond hands and know what you're holding. And I hate to like hold into losses, but what I'm bullish on is the long term economic value of the United States, whether it be the SPY, the QQQ, which follows the Nasdaq, or the DIA that follows the Dow Jones. I think if you're buying those on weakness, even if you have a 100% correction, you hold it for a few more years. You're gonna make that money back. But also, for me, I probably won't hold it that long. I would keep a 5%, 10% stop loss depending on it. For indexes, I give it a little more room to run because it is shadowing the bigger indexes. But anyways, like I said, XLV, I really like that one. Coinbase, I'm really excited about Coinbase now and into the new year, specifically because when Oppenheimer put that 444 price target on, I was like, let's go, right? Meta also chart looking really good, and it's going to be an interesting week with China's first ever Metaverse conference coming up on 12/27. You have MTH because it's a standout in the home building industry, and I'm bullish long 10 years time horizon for home builders specifically, and MTH is the number one according to Seek and Alpha basically, and I also agree, not that my opinion matters. And also SPY because hey, I'm tracking that for the overall. I'm bullish overall American industry and economic power, and that's the way it goes. Playing SPY with that one. Anyways, everyone this is the last episode for the year. Everyone have a great end of year. Be safe. Pop some fireworks. But be safe. All right. Peace.